Sales is a non-negotiable in business, but it's often one of the most challenging pieces for a new founder or consultant to figure out. Welcome to Ponder with Ashley. Today, I'm going to give you the 5 mistakes that I see founders and consultants make consistently when it comes to outbound sales strategy. And if you're new here, I'm Ashley Waddington, the founder of Ponder This Consulting. I have a background in sales in corporate America, but I also have been doing my own founder-led sales, and I've built all of my systems from the ground up with the help of some incredible coaches along the way. So I'm going to give you all my tips and tricks on this channel. If you're new here, hit subscribe and let's dive into outbound sales because this is one of the #1 questions that I get. I do video marketing for my clients, but we always talk about what is your sales strategy? What are you doing to drive sales? Because marketing without a sales strategy will always disappoint you. Outbound sales is a non-negotiable. Often I see new business owners, especially consultants, lean on their networks and referral base to start their businesses. That's amazing. If you can lean on that and you can leverage your network, absolutely do that. But you need to start building your cold outreach at the same time. And I say this because your referral network is not a measurable, consistent lead source for you. It is going to sometimes give you tons of business, sometimes give you no business, and then you're going to go, what do I do? How do I make ends meet? When you build outbound sales strategies, you're building consistency. Same thing with inbound. Inbound takes longer than outbound. Inbound would be like video marketing on your LinkedIn. That would be a inbound source of leads, your YouTube channel. You're building sources that will bring you leads and you don't have to do outbound activity for. Outbound activity is going to be cold calls, emails, text messages, DMs, outbound activity. You need outbound activity when you're starting a new business. And I would venture to say that you need it indefinitely in your business because you never want to rely on one source of leads. You want to have diversity in where your business comes from. So today I'm going to give you the 5 mistakes that I see over and over and over again. I've already said it, so let's just get right to it. Mistake #1 is everybody's least favorite thing to hear from me. You are not doing enough volume. And I want to include myself in this because I have this conversation with myself every single week. Am I doing enough volume for the expectation of business that I'm trying to create? Volume is a non-negotiable when it comes to sales. You cannot beat it. There are ways to get smarter and kind of like refine things down and create sales systems and create marketing systems and messaging that like really refines down to the best the numbers can be. But there's still volume because when you find what works, you want to run as much volume through it as possible to get as much traction as you can, right? And as much consistency as you can. So often when I'm talking to business owners, I hear things like, yeah, well, I sent 20 DMs and I didn't get a response or I didn't get a client out of it. Send 100 before you even analyze the data because 20 DMs is not enough. Or I sent 20 emails or I sent 50 emails and I didn't get a response or I didn't get a client. Yet again, it's actually higher with email. You need to send even more with email to get a response. Before you even start looking at the data, get really honest with yourself about how much volume have I actually put through this, because sending 10 messages and then going, I don't have a client out of it is going to keep you stuck hating sales because you're negotiating with the price of what it actually takes. Especially if you're a high ticket person, if you have a big sale, think about it. If you want to make 10 grand, let's say, you are expecting to put in a tiny bit of effort and make $10,000. Really get honest with yourself about that process. Should you really only have to send 20 DMs to make $10,000? Should you really only have to send 50 emails to make $10,000? Probably not. The output does not match the input. So we want to make sure that we are leveling with ourselves and being honest about what is the price of getting the type of client that I want or getting the type of data that I need to get the client that I want. Volume is a non-negotiable. This is mistake #1. Stop making this harder for yourself. Don't negotiate the price. Just be honest about what you are and aren't doing because you can always add more volume to what you're doing. Mistake #2 is changing too much too often. Now this is really common and it goes with a volume play. I sent 10 messages, I didn't get a response, I'll change the message. I sent 20 messages, I didn't get a response, I'll change the message, or I'll change the channel. So maybe you call 20 people and you go, calls don't work, I'll email 20 people. Email doesn't work, I'll DM 20 people. You're constantly change. But yet again, we don't have enough volume yet to say this channel doesn't work for me, this messaging doesn't work for me, this ideal client doesn't work for me, this product doesn't work for me. We're making decisions out of the fear of having to do more and having to wait often a time period that we're not comfortable with, because we're used to 2 weeks in a paycheck, 2 weeks in a paycheck. Now we're business owners. It could be 2 years in a paycheck. You don't know what the journey looks like, and that's uncomfortable. So the idea of prolonging that process is hard, but you have to have enough data to be able to actually understand, can I 100% say this doesn't work? And then you need to change only one thing at a time. Think about this like a science experiment. If you change multiple variables at the same time, then if something starts to work, you don't know what it was that you changed that made it work. So then if you ever need to tweak it again, you might change the wrong thing. You might try to optimize, but you changed the thing that made it work because you changed 4 variables. All of a sudden things started to work. You wanted to optimize, but you changed the wrong variable and now everything's out of KPI again. You have to give things their time. See them through, analyze them appropriately before you make changes. Otherwise, you will constantly be stop, start, and you never get anywhere if you're constantly stopping and starting. Mistake number 3 is not having a clear ICP. And if you're not familiar with the term ICP, that is ideal client profile. Now, this is a really big one. I had a pondering prompt that I did on this, on niching down and narrowing down who you're targeting. When you don't have a clear ICP, you're often doing a lot of volume and effort towards someone that will never buy from you. And then you're telling yourself the story that my outreach isn't working. But the reality is you're sending messages or you're reaching out to people that are never going to buy from you. And so we're looking at the volume, but we're not looking at the quality. So there is a volume quality ratio that happens here. Now, if you're newer in your business, you may still be narrowing down your ideal client profile. I would encourage you, it feels so counterintuitive in the beginning, but I would encourage you to niche down as much as you can, because it's easier to find out a niche doesn't work for you if it's really narrow and then switch niches than it is to go way too broad and not be able to narrow down who is your ideal client because you're trying to market to everyone and you're reaching no one. It feels so counterintuitive in the beginning, but just trust me on this because I have made this mistake multiple times. But having a clear ICP is often a reason why we feel like our sales process and our outbound strategy is not working. We're trying to reach too many people. We don't have a clear message because we're trying to be too general, or we're reaching out to people that will never be our buyer because we're not cleaning our leads list well enough. We're not really paying attention to the detail. The amount of time that goes into cleaning leads lists before you ever reach out to someone should be a lot for you. I spend a lot of time just literally cleaning lists because I'm trying to spend all of my energy and my outbound on people that could actually say yes and actually get into my sales process. And you get better and better and better the more you do it. The action is the important part, but getting a clear ICP is going to help you a ton in your outbound strategy. Now, everyone hates following up, but that's mistake number 4, is you're not following up enough. And this is one that will never feel comfortable. I'm just going to be really straightforward with you. I did sales in corporate America for many years. I do my own sales now. Following up never feels good past a certain point. There's a level of comfortability. And so we have to be honest with ourselves that we are not somebody else's priority. The person that you want to be your client is your priority because they're in your sales process. You are not their priority as a potential partner or vendor. So when we're following up, we're actually aiming to stay top of mind. It takes 8 to 10 touches to actually convert a client in most cases. So if we're not doing the follow-up and we're just expecting, okay, I followed up one time, they didn't respond, I'm just going to let it go, you're missing out on business. And I know people will say, they post on LinkedIn, I hate it when people follow up, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. because there's going to be people that say, thank you so much for following up. I've been so busy. I've been so slammed. This got buried in my inbox. This hit my spam. I didn't realize it. You need to be following up. And it depends on the channel that you're on. So there's definitely a strategy to this, but you should definitely have at least 3 follow-ups. If somebody's actively in your sales process, there's different metrics on this based on your own situation, but I would say at least 8. If it takes 8 to 10 touches to convert, I mean, I follow up with everybody in my sales pipeline 8 times before I decide whether or not I'm going to give up or I'm going to continue to go until they say no. It is a judgment call for you, but if you hear 8 and that makes you go, ah, I promise you're missing out on business, because 8 to 10 touches is the average for converting sales. Mistake number 5 is unrealistic expectations, and I promise you that these will rob you of everything. I cannot tell you how many times I myself make the same mistake, even though I have a background in sales. Unrealistic expectations will always make outbound feel harder than it actually is. We always want more for less. That is just kind of the way that we're wired. How little effort can I put in to get maximum gains? We do this in every area of our life. But the reality is there's no negotiation for the price that it takes to convert the business that you want. You need to have clear expectations around what does this actually look like. And this is a really, really big one if you're thinking about outsourcing. This is a mistake I see a lot of founders and consultants make. They say, I don't want to do sales. I don't want to learn sales. I'll just have somebody else do it for me. But then we're bootstrapped, right? So we go, I don't have a lot of cash for that. What is the most bargain thing that I can get that will do sales for me so I don't have to do it, but I can pay the least for it? And then we're disappointed in the outcome. But often, whether someone is like premium or not, you need to understand, are you building my sales process? Are you building my lead gen process? Or are you expecting that from me and you're simply coming in and jumping into a process that's already built? That's a really big one. If you don't have a sales process and you're expecting somebody to build it from scratch, that's a different skill set in a person. There's also different expectations around that. If you have a proven process and you bring in somebody else to run it, then you know what should be happening and what's in KPI because you built the system. If you don't have a proven system and you're bringing somebody in to build it, there is a time to figure out the system coupled with the sales process. Now, here's the other thing. What is your sales cycle? If you don't know the answer to that question, buckle up, because you're going to figure it out as you go. If you have a very high ticket or you're selling into a very corporate environment, it's really common with leadership development, you have a long sales cycle. I'm talking months to years. If you have really high ticket technology that's going into an organization, you have a long sales cycle. You have multiple stakeholders involved. If you're selling B2C and it's a low dollar amount, different story, shorter sales cycle, less stakeholders at the table. But if you don't know the answer to how long is your sales cycle, then you need to have realistic expectations that you need to figure that out before you can go, okay, it's going to take me 2 weeks to get a new client. It might take you 2 years. If you have a high enough ticket item and you've got a bunch of red tape because of the industry you're in and there's multiple stakeholders involved, it might be a year before you get that across the finish line. And then you have to look at your business and go, do I have a year? So realistic expectations is so crucial to outbound strategy, whether you're outsourcing it or you're doing this in-house, because eventually you will probably outsource this or build a team in-house and you'll have to train on this. Clear, realistic expectations will save you so much trouble. Well, there you have it. Those are the 5 most common mistakes that I see founders and consultants make when it comes to their outbound sales strategy. And as somebody who has done corporate sales and has also built her own sales systems from the ground up with her own business, I have made every single one of these mistakes. So if you're looking at these 5 mistakes and you're going, I definitely make that one, or I make all 5 of these mistakes every single day, Ashley, this is normal. You are normal. There's nothing wrong with that. Let me know in the comments which mistake resonates the most. I literally meet with founders every single week. We talk about their sales strategy, and this is all very common stuff. So you are not alone in your journey. This video is just to help you be aware of potential mistakes that you may be making in your outbound strategy, potential fears that may be holding you back. And this channel is all about supporting you and the growth of your business. So if you're not subscribed yet, hit subscribe. If you're curious how to work with me, all my details will be in the description. And if you got value out of this video, hit like so fellow entrepreneurs and consultants and founders will see this content. The goal is to really empower the future entrepreneurs, the ones that are building now and the ones that are soon to come. So with that, I will see you again very soon.